we've had mental health discussed from a personal perspective from Chris earlier. So now it's time to address it from an academic or a professional angle. COVID has undoubtedly brought our health to the forefront of people's consciousness. It's also been a time where we've understood better than ever the resilience that we're capable of when racial, religious, and social barriers come down. Our final speaker tonight wants us to draw on that resilience to alleviate inequality and improve long-lasting health and well-being of the people of Birmingham. She's an ambassador for This Is My City Birmingham project and runs a cooking initiative titled Dishes of Change. Please welcome BCU PhD researcher Angela Kumah. Hi, Angela.
Hi, Jay.
I was about to say you're muted. You've taken it off. Good. I have already seen the passion for what you do, the passion you have for it firsthand in a little teaser that we did beforehand. So I'm now quite sort of super hyped to hear you to hear you speak. Are you all ready to go?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Correction though, I'm not the ambassador for This Is My City. I'm the community outreach officer, and I coordinate the Dishes of Change program. So there are other ambassadors, amazing ambassadors for This Is My City. So, but thanks for the upgrade.
I'm sure you'll get there one day. Cool. Right. So apologies for that. Anyway, take it away, Angela.
Okay. So I'm sharing now. Screen up. Yeah. Okay. So this is not one of those toxic positivity conversations. This is a conversation about appreciating what is and discussing resilience and appreciative inquiry. Appreciative inquiry seems like a bit of a foreign term, and I never come across it until I started to look into an alternative to understanding mental health and cultural sensitivity within the Black community. I came across a couple of mental health promotion conversations that talk about how we can support mental health within different communities using the resources that are already available. And I thought to myself, what would this look like if we were supporting mental health within the Black community? And that's where appreciative inquiry came from. Before I go into that, I'm just going to talk about how much different groups, organizations, races, religions have come together during COVID. I found this quote by Mahatma Gandhi that said, whenever you are confronted with an opponent, conquer him with love or her or it. And our opponent this time around has been COVID, an unseen virus, an unseen enemy that we do not know how to deal with. It has devastated our lives, to say the least. We've been in a whole year or more of lockdown. We can't plan holidays. The future seems all up in the air, but we still keep going as communities, as groups, as individuals. So many barriers have come down during COVID, and it's such a delight to see all of these things happening within our city in Birmingham. I have personally seen so much collaboration and kindness and compassion that has been shown, and it's exciting to see what the future holds for all of us. I want to find out what resilience means to you. Thinking about the term resilience is not always exciting because sometimes I'm just tired and I don't need people to remind me that I'm a strong person. It's not great. But resilience does signify strength. I found this word cloud that has different words: success, adversity, stronger, defense, teamwork, optimistic. What does resilience mean to you? Resilience means to me being able to bounce back from a difficult situation. And we all have those days. Chris has talked about the days when he was totally down and could not get up. But he's back. He's back up, and that's why he could have this conversation with us today. And that in itself is resilience. So big ups to you, Chris. Lawrence has talked about how the museum has been able to work throughout a pandemic. To me, that is resilience, being able to come up with new ideas, being determined to influence and change the world. Of course, it's important to balance resilience conversations with the fact that there can't be toxic resilience. When you try to push the narrative that people are strong and do not need to seek help, it's wrong. It's good to be resilient, but it's also good to seek help. But I'm going to be talking a bit about appreciative inquiry and why it means so much to me. In a world where there's just so much negativity, it's good to talk about something positive. And appreciative inquiry does that for me. I always try to balance it with the realities of life, even though it's very positive and it seems a little goody two shoes. But basically, this is what it is. It's an organizational development model. And what it talks about is it tries to find out within an organization, within a group, within a family, within a community, what works best. So it discovers what works. So you basically try to appreciate from a positive perspective what is happening within your community. So during COVID, we look around us and realize that so many organizations have come together, so many societies and communities have come together. We appreciate the fact that barriers have been broken in spite of the difficulties that we've had to go through. Going forward from that, we appreciate these strengths that we have already discovered, and then we dream. Dream sounds again a little too goody two shoes, but when we imagine what might be, we imagine a world where there's no coronavirus, there's no pandemic, we can go for holidays in Spain and Greece and have the time of our lives. But now that we are not in that place, while we are still stuck in this limbo, while we are still stuck right in the middle, what do we hope could happen? But based on the strengths that we have already discovered, that we've been able to break down barriers of stigma and racial barriers and religious barriers and socioeconomic barriers, what might be? What will a society that actually loves and cares for everybody look like? What will a society that appreciates everybody for the role they play look like? We imagine and dream about this. Then from dreaming, based on the strengths that we've already identified among ourselves, we design. And here, my personal favorite for designing anything or for coming up with an idea about fixing anything is conducting a self-SWOT analysis or a SWOT analysis on the situation. When I talk about a SWOT analysis, it's also a business-related model, but we talk about the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats. So during this period, when we look at our communities, what strengths have we been able to identify about our cultural values, about our resilience, about our ability to transform narratives, our ability to switch from physical meetings to virtual conversations, our ability to be kind, our ability to be strong. These are strengths that we have determined or we have been able to identify as a community, as a group of people. In spite of that, there are weaknesses. There are still the racial barriers, there are still the religious barriers, there are still the socioeconomic barriers that are still glaring, the health inequalities that have been amplified during this period. These are weaknesses. We do look at them, but we put them on the side and we look at them from the point of view of our strengths. Then we look at the opportunities. What opportunities do we have to get better as a people, as a community, as a nation, as an organization, as a person? What opportunity do you have to get better during this period? What are your threats? What stands in the way of your betterment? What stands in the way of your improvement? What stands in the way of the positivity? What stands in the way of the use of your strengths during this period? We think about that during the design stage. Then when we get to the destiny stage, we come and be realistic about what is actually in front of us, what we have identified as our strengths, keeping our weaknesses in mind, obviously, but knowing that we're strong enough to pursue this. We have all of these resources at our disposal. So how do we make use of these strengths to counteract the weaknesses? It's always important that we are able to balance things out and look at them from both perspectives, because not everything is black and white. Sometimes things are gray, and being able to understand the nuances and being able to understand the differences within our thought patterns and our values and our strengths and our ideas and our cultures is important, being able to keep all of this in mind. But going forward in the future, we need to think about dreaming together. We need to think about understanding perspective or understanding growth from a more positive point of view. Of course, again, not neglecting the negative, because it's really important to be realistic and understand that things are bad and they may not go the way we want to. But going forward, knowing that we are strong people, we are resilient people, that we have amazing resources at our disposal, what can we make use of? And I found this adopted Brazilian quote that says, "When I dream alone, it's just a dream. But when we dream together, it is the beginning of reality. When we work together following our dream, it's the creation of heaven on earth." I don't know what heaven looks like, but I look forward to a society where racial and religious and gender barriers and health inequality barriers are broken, so that we can come together, collaborate better, and support each other in a more positive manner. Of course, again, not neglecting the negative. I cannot stress that enough, but appreciating that we as a people, we as individuals are resilient, and being able to make use of our strengths and our opportunities to handle our threats and our weaknesses. Thank you.
There we go. Just waiting to drop in. Thank you very much, Angela. It's great to, like I said, I saw you on the teaser, and to see you actually deliver that with such passion. I love the. Well, I mean, as you know, with Brum Tapas, we're all about one of the things we push forward is community and collaboration. So that collaboration aspect just really put into a much bigger scale across the whole of civilization is really kind of inspiring to see. So we've got a couple of questions from the team at the moment. So this one, you're working with Birmingham City Council. I kind of mentioned it I kind of mentioned this in the intro. You're working with Birmingham City Council with the This Is My City Birmingham, which I believe is mainly to do with the Commonwealth Games legacy. Can you tell us a little bit more about the work that you do for that?
Okay, so This Is My City is an initiative from an organization called United Community Activity Network, somewhat within the City Council. And what we do is we celebrate Commonwealth migration through food, music, arts, and sports. I work with UCAN in my capacity as a mental health professional and a community outreach officer, and I support a range of projects. At the moment, I'm handling a project called Dishes of Change, or Dishes of the Commonwealth, or Dishes in the Cupboard. It has a lot of names, but we have different sides. So there's one side of the project that basically has different Commonwealth dishes that we explore. So we explore the different Commonwealth countries, or about 6 or 8 countries, through the food that is cooked in those countries. So we have an online course where people sign on. We send them food parcels. We send them a chef's kit. They have a nice apron and a few measuring cups. And every week they get to engage and learn about a new country through food. It's exciting. It's simple. Still redesigning it, but we have a number of families that are taking on the course. So it's interesting. Also, we have a welfare aspect of it. During COVID, there's been a lot of food poverty. And in trying to support families on welfare who use food banks, we have a program that also delivers food parcels to different families on welfare, in addition to signposting them to other organizations. But rather than just give them the food and leave them to the mercy of cooking whatever they want, what we do is that we have a professional chef that holds a cooking session like every Friday or so, and has people come on. We ask questions, we learn about different spices or how different people cook their food, and make use of the food parcels to cook a nutritious meal, so that people know how to stretch the package over a period of time, know how to cook a nutritious meal, and then can collaborate or have a chat with other people while we cook. So yeah, that's just one of the many things I do.
Cool. I love the sound of that. Dishes for Change. We've got one from the chat room here from Stuart Language. The communities I'm part of are mostly good. They have issues, but not many. But wider society, larger communities, not so. Unfriendly, divided, angry. Do we change society, or is that someone else's job, and how?
Well, society starts with us. You and yourself are society steward, and you can start the change. When people are angry and people are divided and people are unfriendly, because there's a lot of inequality and there's a lot of injustice, whether racial, whether religious, whether gender related, and people build walls or people build defenses based on how they are treated. Of course, people are generally not nice, so you can't do too much about that. But in your space and time where you can make an influence or make a change, the change starts with you and where you are in your community. Even if the people that are within your community are good, I believe you can make them better. Sometimes people just need to be shown kindness, because the only reaction to whatever challenges or discrimination or hurt they've had to go through is to fight back and be angry and be unfriendly. It's just their way of defense. It's their defense mechanism. But it doesn't hurt to smile at anybody. Well, we're wearing face masks now, so nobody can see you smiling. But it doesn't hurt to be kind. It doesn't hurt to go out of your way to do something nice for somebody, even if they're unfriendly or divided. It starts with you. It starts with me. It starts with us having these conversations about the fact that some of these barriers can be broken if we just take one thing at a time. Because you find that people are constantly bashed with negativity. I'll take, for instance, my research with the Black community, okay? Every time mental health is talked about, it's about stigma, it's about discrimination, it's about racism. There's nothing good that comes out about conversations that have to do with mental illness or mental health. But there are so many organizations, so many groups, so many things about Black culture, about sports, about music, about arts that supports resilience, or that supports mental health and well-being. If we began to have conversations from a more positive note, people will be less likely to have those barriers. People will be more willing to talk about it because they know that you are not attacking them first of all. You're actually acknowledging that first, they are human and they have emotions, and those emotions are acknowledged, and then meet them where you can, right in the middle. It's possible.
That's awesome. I love the sort of takeaway of that that change starts with you. So from Fusion Technology Meetup, that was great talk, Angela. Food for thought, and something that I guarantee that everyone watching tonight is passionate about. Where have you seen collaboration work well within our community in Birmingham?
Food, especially with food. I can't emphasize that enough. Everybody has gone out of their way to provide for somebody. Food banks, people have, the program I work, for instance, for is run on a charity. People volunteer their time every Wednesday to go into Erdington and pack food packages for over 20 families every week. Over the last 5 or 6 months, people have constantly been doing the same thing. They do not know these people. They have no relationship with them. We've had people volunteer to say, I will drive and go and drop the food at various houses for 25 families. People of different races, of different religions, of different genders, people have just come together because food is a universal language, and people are just willing to help solve this hunger or food poverty that is ravishing the city. Again, there's been a lot of collaboration with dealing with the homeless. If you notice, during lockdown, there weren't any homeless people on the streets. Different organizations came together to house homeless people, and there's so much more effort being put into housing homeless people now because we know that it's possible and the resources are available to do it. So there's just been so much collaboration in the city.
Cool. It's really really inspiring stuff to hear. Thank you so much, Angela.